Hello and welcome to the MLS Round Table series presented by Target. With everybody getting ready to go back to school, we figured this was a perfect time to dig in a little bit into the youth development system in and around MLS. I'm pleased to be joined today by an esteemed panel. Of course, we have U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer and coach of the U20 men's national team, Tab Ramos. We then have, of course, Justen, defender for Real Salt Lake, and his good buddy, Tyler Adams, midfielder for the New York Red Bulls. These guys were both teammates on Tab's U20 national team. And then we have Luchi Gonzalez, a former MLS player, played in Europe as well, and then has now taken the reins as the director of the FC Dallas Academy. To start off, I wanted to talk a little bit about the path to the pros. Justen, you're now starting in the center back for Real Salt Lake. Take us back to the beginning. How did you go through the academy, find the academy, and then find your way to the first team?
Yeah, I actually moved to Tucson, Arizona because my grandparents lived an hour away. I didn't even know Real Salt Lake had an academy out there. Two of my buddies on my club team, I eventually went to the academy, and then they were like, hey, you should try out. And I was like, yeah, you know, whatever, I guess I'll see what that's like. And then made the team and kind of progressed through the academy, progressed through the ranks. Did a couple reserve games, and then eventually RSL wanted to sign me, and it was between that or Stanford, and after a long family debate, ended up signing with Real Salt Lake.
And Tyler, you from Hudson Valley originally, now playing for the Red Bulls. What was your path like to becoming a professional?
Yeah, kind of a long-winded one as well. Where I live in my area, there's no academies. So the closest one happened to be Red Bulls, and I did camps when I was younger, about 11 years old. They have RDS programs, which are regional development schools in different areas, and the closest one was like 30 minutes or 40 minutes away, and my buddy was doing it, and I tagged along with him just to, you know, for a fun camp during the summer, get away from the family for a bit. And I happened to do well, and they scouted me and for the academy, so I joined the academy when I was 13. And progressed through the academy. And when I was 16, I signed with the USL team first, which was a good platform for me to get minutes and establish myself a little bit more before signing with the first team the following year when I was 17.
Well, it's working out well for the both of you so far. And Luchi, I got to ask, you have so many different needs amongst players, different types of players within the FC Dallas Academy. How, from a director level, do you counsel your players as far as making the right choice, whether that is college, whether that is USL, whether it is directly to the first team?
Yeah, there's never one solution for every player. I think you go case by case. You need to differentiate the plan for each player coming through. Some are ready from a young age because they're physically developed and they can make an impact on the first team. Even though they're biologically young, they're physically mature and mentally mature. And then there's others that need time, and we need to be patient with them.
Tab, when you look back at the U20 teams in the last cycle, the one before, you see a lot more college-heavy rosters. In this last group, it seemed a lot less. How has that changed the dynamic of the type of young men that you're dealing with and how ready they are to compete at the world stage?
Well, you start to get, number one, you start to get players who are a lot more comfortable with the ball under pressure situations, because now they're used to playing normally with men because they're in a professional environment. So that's difficult for them when they're coming in. And then obviously just in terms of like, you know, their experience and what they're gaining coming in compared to the way the players used to be before, their character is different, they're stronger, they deal with adversity a lot better, and they correct themselves and improve throughout our camps.
Tyler, you mentioned signing with USL and that experience like of preparing you for the first team. What were some of those early days like for you in training, playing with men maybe much older than you and being able to compete at that level?
Yeah, so I think it starts all the way back from when I started with the academy, them pushing me to play up a couple of years, up a year, dealing with guys that were bigger than me, faster, stronger than me, better on the ball than me. That's all stuff that I had to get used to and gain exposure to.
Justen, what about you when you first stepped into the first team atmosphere and getting that kind of competitiveness? Was that a big jump for you or something that you were groomed for as well?
It was a jump, but it was definitely, you know, something I'd been looking forward to. But, you know, it's just a different level, playing against guys that are double your age, and they're bigger, faster, they've been in the league. and it's an adjustment period, and that's, again, something that when you're flying out to reserve games and RSL puts that faith in you, or whatever team you're on puts that faith in you, you repay it later on. Like now I've had that experience. I got to play in those games when I was younger, and when I had to play in my first MLS game, I think it prepared me.
Looking towards the college system, Luchi, you won the Herman Trophy at SMU. How did that prepare you for being a professional? And then when players come to you to lean on your experience, is that something you reference as a positive, or something that you think maybe we're moving away from as, I guess, an academy system as a whole?
Yeah, when I played in college, to me that was the pathway to be a professional. It was a different time, and I knew I needed to be successful at the college level to one day be a professional through the draft for MLS or internationally. So that was my choice. That was my only choice, really, back then. It's obviously evolved. You still see players finding success in the draft. 2 center backs at FC Dallas, Matt Hedges, Walker Zimmerman, very good college players drafted to FC Dallas. You have players like Nick Lima now at San Jose, played at Cal, and Justen, who's having a fantastic year at Atlanta, playing at Providence. So college is always, based on this country's culture and education being so important, college will always be a big part of our culture in the United States, and a big part of soccer. But you see the trend where players are ready younger. Players need games. And whether it's signing with us now and playing with a second team or playing college, they need to be playing high-level competitive games, because that's maybe the piece that some of these players are missing once they're signed, is if they're not getting minutes or they're not playing competitive games, it can really hurt their development, it can hurt their confidence.
How do you account for that discrepancy where you want to get guys maybe into a professional atmosphere as soon as possible to get those games, as Luchi's talking about, but we're still able to produce some of these guys that are contributing at the level within the system that currently exists?
Well, I think a little bit like Luchi said, obviously for every player is different. There's every situation for every player, and sometimes they're just not ready to go pro. Obviously, if you're not, when you turn 18 and it's time to go to college, if you're not prepared to go into a professional environment, then yeah, going to college for 1 or 2 years in terms of your soccer future may help you. But in general terms, this is why it's getting younger and younger that players are signing, because we need to prepare them professionally as soon as possible, especially the ones that you're betting on for long-term careers.
All right. Well, this has been really interesting so far, guys. Thanks for joining us for part 1 of our roundtable discussion sponsored by Target. Stay tuned for part 2 and 3, where we talk about the academy system and the future, developing players for the pros.